Imagine warm, soft cookies, crunchy sweets, melting chocolate, velvety cakes, waffle cones piled high with ice cream. Is your mouth watering? Are you longing for a dessert? Why? What happens in the brain that makes sugary foods so hard to resist? Sweeteners is a broad term used to describe a category of molecules known as carbohydrates, and it's found in a wide range of foods and beverages. Simply check the labels of the sweet products you buy. Glucose, fructose, sucrose, maltose, lactose, dextrose, and starch are all forms of sweeteners. So are high fructose corn syrup, fruit juice, raw sugar, and honey. And sweeteners aren't just in sweets and desserts. They're also added to tomato sauce, yogurt, dried fruit, sodas, or granola bars. Since sweeteners are everywhere, it's important to understand how they affect the brain. What happens when sweeteners hit your tongue? And does consuming a little bit of sweeteners make you desire more? You take a bite of chocolate. The sugars it contains activate the sweet taste receptors, part of the taste buds on the tongue. These receptors send a signal up to the brain stem, and from there, it branches out into many areas of the forebrain, one of which is the cerebral cortex. Different sections of the cerebral cortex process different tastes: bitter, salty, umami, and, in our case, sweet. From here, the signal activates the brain's reward system. This reward system is a series of electrical and chemical pathways in various different regions of the brain. It's a complex network, but it helps answer a single subconscious question: should I do that again? That warm and comforting feeling you get when you taste grandma's chocolate cake? That's your reward system saying, yes. And it's not only activated by food. Socializing, sexual behavior, and drugs are just a few examples of things and experiences that also activate the reward system. But overactivating this reward system initiates a series of unfortunate events: loss of control, craving, and increased tolerance to sweeteners. Let's go back to our bite of chocolate. It goes down into your stomach and eventually into your gut. And guess what? There are sweetener receptors here too. They're not taste buds, but they do send signals telling your brain that you're full or that your body should produce more insulin to deal with the extra sweetener you're consuming. The primary currency of our reward system is dopamine, an important chemical or neurotransmitter. There are many dopamine receptors in the forebrain, but they're not evenly distributed. Certain areas contain dense clusters of receptors, and these dopamine hotspots are part of our reward system. Drugs like alcohol or nicotine send dopamine into overdrive, leading some people to constantly seek that feeling of euphoria, in other words, to become addicted. Sweeteners also cause dopamine to be released, though not as violently as drugs. And sweeteners are rare among dopamine-inducing foods. Lettuce, for example, has no effect, which probably explains why it's so hard to get kids to eat their veggies. Speaking of healthy foods, let's say you're hungry and decide to eat a balanced meal. You do, and dopamine levels increase in the reward system hotspots. But if you eat that same dish many days in a row, dopamine levels will decrease each time, eventually stabilizing. That's because when it comes to food, the brain evolved to pay special attention to new or different tastes. Why? 2 reasons. First, to detect food that's gone bad. And second, because the more variety we have in our diet, the more likely we are to get all the nutrients we need. To maintain that variety, we need to be able to recognize a new food, and more importantly, we need to want to keep eating new foods. And that's why dopamine levels stabilize when a food becomes boring. Now, back to that meal. What happens if, instead of the healthy, balanced dish, you eat sugar-rich food? If you rarely eat sugar or don't eat much at a time, the effect is similar to that of the balanced meal. But if you eat too much, the dopamine response won't stabilize. In other words, eating lots of sugar will continue to be rewarding. In this way, sugar behaves a bit like a drug. It's one reason people seem to be addicted to sweet foods. So, think of all the different types of sweeteners. Each one is unique, but every time any sweetener is consumed, it triggers a domino effect in the brain that awakens a feeling of reward. Too much, too often, and things can go into overdrive. So, yes, excessive consumption of sweeteners can have addictive effects on the brain, but a slice of cake once in a while won't harm you. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, share it with your friends and family. Feel free to write a comment, and most importantly, have a great day.